Hello everyone, today we're going to review this MTH Premier Great Northern S-2 Class 484 here on Brendan's Trains. Now, I'm going to do a separate video talking about the history of the Great Northern S2s, simply because time restraints and there is a lot of history on the S2 Northerns. MTH's model of the Great Northern S2 came out in the MTH 2013 Volume 2 catalog, and they made 3 different versions. They made the Great Northern number 2581, that you see here. Then they also made a Great Northern number 2579 in the same paint scheme. And then they made a standard black variation, cab number 2578. Let's talk about the features of this locomotive. Features of this locomotive include an operational smoke unit, all LED lighting, all die-cast construction, proto-couplers, and a wireless drawbar. Now you can operate this locomotive in 3 different ways. You can either run it with the MTH DCS command system, as that will give you access to all of the engine's advanced features. However, you can also run it with the transformer and some track, or you can run it with 2-rail operations with AC or DC current. This engine is packed with great details and features, so let's go ahead and take a closer look. Here's the look on the pilot of the locomotive. Now, it is very well done. We have some nice separately applied hose detailing, and the cow catcher looks great because all of these grills here are open. We also have a nice coupler cut bar that does move up and down, and there's a chain and pin that goes into a dummy scale coupler. And if you want, you can double head the engine by swapping out the scale coupler for this dummy O-gauge coupler that's also packaged with the engine when you buy it. Here's a look on the front of the locomotive. Here we have a nice headlight right here with the light and number boards on either side. There's a number board down here. We also have some separately applied hand railing detail, 2 separately applied metal air compressors. Now, the S2s were distinctive because they had the air compressor front like many Great Northern steam engines. We also have some 2 separately applied marker lights right here. We have a little brass bell with a pull cord that goes all the way back to the cab. Now, inside the bell, there is red paint, which makes it look more realistic because inside of the bell, there's normally red paint. Here's a look on sides of the smoke box. Here we have one of the 2 operational LED number boards that light up. We also have the beginning of the separately applied metal handrail that goes all the way back to the cab. We also have some nice separately applied detailing right here. And right here we have the walkway, and there's supposed to be a builder's plate right here, but apparently it's only on the left-hand side of the engine. Here's a look underneath the running board. Here we have a very nicely detailed Delta trailing truck that was iconic on the S2s. We have a very nicely detailed full cylinder with polished cylinder caps. And here's the beginning of the drive wheels and the drive rods, and all this stuff looks great when the engine is in motion. You'll see that in just a few minutes. And right next to each driving wheel, there's some brake shoe assemblies. Now, above the drive wheels, we do have some very nice separately applied piping, and we also have an air tank. Here's the look on sides of the engine. We have the continuation of the separately applied metal handrail. And then here we have a green boiler jacket that was iconic on most Great Northern steam locomotives. Now, on the boiler, there is a ton of separately applied detail. MTH did a fantastic job with this engine in terms of detail. Towards the rear of the engine, we have some very nice separately applied detailing all over the place on the firebox. And underneath the firebox, we have a very nicely detailed trailing truck. Here's the look on the cab. We have a crisp 2581. Then we also have some nice legible signage under here. Now, with the windows on the cab, they do move back and forth, which is a really nice feature. There's even some wind shades that move back and forth as well. We also have some nice grab irons above the cab. Now inside the cab there are 2 hand-painted crew figures. There's a very nicely detailed backhead with hand-painted valves and gauges. We have a nice firebox glow in there. And there's a cab light in the engine, and the cab light does shut off when the engine starts moving. Here's a look on the left-hand side of the engine, and it looks pretty much the same as the right-hand side, but we do have some differences in detail. And right here is, if I can focus, the tiny legible builder's plate. On top of the engine, here we have a very nice separately applied pipe. Here's the 2 lit up number boards I mentioned earlier. Here's the smokestack, and there is a fan-driven smoke unit down in there. And to load smoke fluid into the smoke unit, you simply pour the smoke fluid directly down the stack. Now on the smokestack there's this cover, and to run the smoke you have to have this cover down if you want the smoke to come out. Now on these Great Northern steam engines, they would have this cover to prevent stuff from getting in the smoke box. On the green boiler, here we have a very nicely detailed sand dome with the Great Northern emblem right there. And here we have the continuation of the 2 separately applied metal handrails that goes all the way back to the cab. Right here, we have a steam dome and a brass-plated whistle, and there's a wire lanyard that attaches to the whistle that goes all the way back to the cab as well. So not only have a pull cord going to the bell, we have one at the whistle as well. Now, underneath the steam dome, there's some nice rivet detailing, and there's the continuation of the metal handrail. There's also some separately applied piping down here as well. In front of the cab, here we have a lot of separately applied detailing all over the place. And here we have 4 brass pop-off valves. Here's a close look on top of the cab. There's some nice rivet detailing. There's also some very nice separately applied hand railing detail in the cab as well. And there's the vents on top of the cab roof that open up like that. Here's a close look on the inside of the cab. We have some 2 separately applied metal handrails on either side. We also have some metal curtains around the cab. Now inside the cab, there's 2 hand-painted crew figures. There's also some hand-painted valves and gauges in there. And there is a light in the interior of the cab, and that light does shut off when the engine starts moving. And underneath the cab, we do have a deck plate that connects the engine and tender together. Okay, that takes care of the engine. Now let's check out the tender. On the front of the tender, we have a very nicely detailed walkway with safety tread. We have some separately applied handrails right here, and some more separately applied metal handrails on either side. And then we have some very nice molded in step detailing. On the sides of the tender, we have a nice Great Northern Railway herald right there. There's very little to no rivet detailing on the sides. But down here, we have a separately applied pipe. I don't know what this piece is, so if anyone knows what this piece is, please let me know. And then we have some very nicely detailed trucks with separately applied metal safety chains. Here on the top of the tender, we have an oil bunker. This means that this engine is oil-fired and not coal-fired. We have some separately applied detailing in front of the oil hatch, which does open, but there's nothing in there. Right behind the oil bunker is some woodwork right here. We also have some separately applied metal grab irons on either side of the tender. We have some nice rivet detailing. And here we have a water hatch that does open, and it reveals the control switches for the engine. We have the volume control on and off switch, and we also have the smoke on and off switch. Here's the back of the tender. We have some separately applied handrails or grab irons right here. 2 separately applied metal ladders on either side. We have the water capacity and oil capacity for the engine. And then down here we have a coupler cut lever that moves up and down. And then below it is the electrocoupler that can be fired from the DCS or the transformer. Also on the tender, you can barely see it, but there is a operational backup light right there. Now, the last thing we do before we start this engine up is to mention my favorite feature on this locomotive. Now, my favorite feature is an easy pick. It's all the separately applied detail on the engine. It just really sticks out to molded detailing, and if you're wondering who's rubbing me, it's my cat. Before I continue, I just want to say that this here is the unofficial mascot for Brendan's Trains. This here is Blossom. She is my train cat, and every time when I run train, she always jumps onto the layout and chases it. But yeah, I just thought I would show you this before we started up the engine. Yeah, you're a good kitty, aren't you? Alright, let's go ahead and start this thing up. Now, I'm going to use the extended startup sequence on this engine. Now, if you see Blossom in the background, don't worry, she won't knock over the train.
We got a schedule to keep. Let's get our steam. Check on that water level, will you? Swing that spout over.
If you own a MTH locomotive, this is fairly familiar to you.
Okay, that's enough. Don't bump those side rods, will you?
I might have to put a little bit more smoke fluid in there.
Looks good. What do you see?
This smoke fluid I put in this engine is Mega Steam Hot Chocolate scented.
Clear? Clear.
Alright, first up, let's check out the whistle, which sounds amazing in my opinion. This might become my favorite whistle on any of my engines. Now there's also a quilling whistle, and that is done by pressing the SPW key. When you click on it, it says whistle, and you use the quick wheel here, or here, to go through the whistle sounds, like this. Now, there's also some preset whistles. There's the forward signal, the reverse signal, and the crossing signal. Now, what's kind of cool about the crossing sound, it has a different pitch than the other whistles. Here's the bell. Now this engine does have some amazing passenger station announcements, but I'm going to show you those later when we run the engine. So let's go ahead and move her on out.
Welcome to Glasgow. Watch your step. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Ticketed passengers only. Let me help you with your baggage. Now departing for Seattle on track 1, train number 1, the Empire Builder. Welcome aboard. Step right
conductor's checking his watch again. Must be time to go. Conductor's giving us a highball signal. Let's get down the line. Okay, shut it off. I want to blow her down now. Clear? Clear. Take care. See you soon.
Alright, that wraps it up for this review. This is a gorgeous locomotive. I'm happy to own it, and it has quickly become my favorite locomotive in my collection. Now, if you're interested in purchasing one of these, the retail price is around $1,199, but you can still find them around for about $1,000, but they're incredibly hard to come by. I remember earlier this year I saw this exact same engine at Eastside Trains in Kirkland, Washington. But I picked this up at the local train show for $795, supposedly new in box, which is a really good deal. Anyways, that's it for now. This is Brendan's Trains, signing off.